same experience, and falling back on a language concept actually that goes through my mind now. When I was secretary of and chairing meetings of the European Works Council of General Bank, I had to stop several times discussions that were happening between the Belgians and the Dutch representatives at that kind of time. And those were trade unionists, so it was not about anti-trade unionists or anything. And both spoke Dutch, the same language, and they still didn't understand each other. They were fighting each other. There were huge discussions going on, although they agreed. They just didn't realize it. By the way the words they use and the way they construct their thoughts and the animosity they lay in their words. I've had to stop several times discussion between two people speaking exactly the same language, but with a different concept in their mind. Back to signs. How do you show that you are enthusiastic about somebody who makes a speech? How do you show that you were happy with it? Most people applaud. Here you've applauded this morning because you don't have any tables, but what do you do otherwise? You knock on the table. Well, I can assure you there's not many countries in Europe where they do that. So if a British colleague would have been doing some presentation about how things are organized in his company, and you start tapping on the table, he might say, oh, I've said something wrong here. Because he's not used to that typical sign of showing your appreciation. It's not understood as being an appreciation. It could be even understood as some kind of an attack or a sign of, we don't like what you said. Well, small things make us so different sometimes. Obviously, the way you use your body, the body language while you're speaking to somebody is also so very different. Here too, you probably all have experienced this when talking to, again, colleagues from Italy, for instance, or from France, or from Spain. They are much more excited and stress their words with their hand and with their whole body. When, again, an Italian colleague, I refer to the same example, would speak with a Finnish colleague. Finnish people, they usually don't say much. They listen. And that's not because they're not interested, it's not because they're not paying attention, they just wait, reflect, and if they have something important to say, then they will say it. Whereas an Italian, French colleague will constantly try to speak. He will interrupt you when you're speaking to him or her. He will interrupt you and say, yes, of course, and oh, that's good. When this is a Finnish person trying to explain something and a French or Italian guy keeps interrupting, might be a bit of conflict, some friction coming about inside your European Works Council. And it's not because they don't agree, it's simply because they have a different way of talking to each other. Different body language, which can be problematic. And this is related to some other aspect in academic literature, what you find also, and this is something we all have. You also find an indication about the space that we all want to be respected around us. We all have this. In academic literature, they make the difference between 4 circles, virtual circles around us, very real circles, actually. The first circle being the intimate space, which is more or less where you allow your family, your kids, your partner, parents to enter. Second circle is the personal space, is family, good friends. Third circle is the social space, the people that you work with, people you know, friends but not so intimate friends. And then the fourth circle is, let's say, all the rest, people you meet and you don't know. And we all have this. When you enter a train car, which is rather crowded, where will you sit? What will be the thing you look at? Where do I have a free seat? I observe this very regularly when I travel a lot by train. I observe this, and everybody does that, whatever country that I am in. Everybody first goes looking for, here's a free space. Okay. If it's very crowded, then maybe a seat where you only have one person, or somebody who looks nice, somebody who looks friendly. We all do that. And these are those circles that we don't want anybody to invade. But depending on what region of Europe we're from, these circles, the size of these circles is different. Depending on where we are from, we allow people to come closer to us, or prefer that they stay further away. An example of this is, in simple things again, shaking hands, for instance. In Belgium, it is very normal, it's customary, to whenever we have a meeting, even if we are together for a few days in a meeting, in the morning we shake hands, we say hello to everybody. We go around the table, and even in the Works Council where management is present, we shake hands with everybody. Workers' representatives, employers, whatever. In a Nordic approach, in the Nordic countries, you shake hands the first time you meet somebody. No more after. Why would you shake hands again? You already know that person. Don't do it anymore. Some go further. The further down south you go, the more warm this welcoming is. Coming from Spain, and colleagues from Spain will, again, that space, intimate space is a bit smaller, and more people come into the personal space. They will hug you. They will tap you on the back. In discussions too, and the way you stand together, and here I can't really do it because you're all a bit from the same culture, but if you try to do that exercise with people coming from different corners of Europe, you ask them to stand together, have a discussion, you will automatically see some people backing up. In Latin culture, it's not a problem to stand very close to each other and talk to each other like this and tap each other on the back and be very active and even tactile and touching each other. I'm sorry if I insult you, but some people would be. I'm sure if you did that with somebody from Denmark, from Sweden, from the Nordic culture, or even maybe Germanic culture, you would say, whoa, what's happened? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Very different. A question I have to ask also, always to the women present in the room, this also is related to the intimate space, social space, circles around us. How many times are we allowed to kiss a woman without insulting her? Very difficult. Even in one country it can be very different. In France, for instance, in the north of France, you can kiss a woman 4 times. When you say hello, you kiss her 4 times. 4 times. South of France, 2 times. Paris, once. In Belgium, it's even more absurd. Somebody you don't know very well, you kiss 3 times. An intimate friend, you kiss once. So frustrating. So frustrating. Simple things. Moving on to that, what men are you allowed to kiss? Are there men here who have kissed other men in other than intimate relationships, and saying hello? This too is something in Latin cultures which is very common. Even in Belgium I've seen this different. Even that was one of the things that I thought, oh, what's happening here? Between the people from the Wallonian side of the country and people from the Flemish side of the country meeting each other in the Works Council. Our Wallonian friends, some at least, had the habit of greeting each other by kissing. Greeting me by kissing. It's just a way of saying hello. But some people might be rather shocked with that, of course. But it's an old way of behavior. The circles are simply smaller and more people come to the closest circle. Finally, the last slide is about everything that we cannot see, we cannot hear, that is not related to specific nationality or whatever. All we've talked about so far is the most obvious element of language, of body language, the signs we use, the way we behave in a group, etc. Things that you can see or hear. A lot, however, is hidden, and also is an element of heterogeneity in the European Works Council. There's also something you have to think about and realize that we all have these differences inside us, which make us who we are, which are sometimes related to culture, sometimes very individual. The values we stand for, the morale we have, the way we have been educated, religious background. It's not something we automatically talk about, but we all have our differences. We're Roman Catholic or Protestant or Muslim or anti-religious or whatever. It also plays a role in the way we behave in a group, although it's not something that obvious. How emotional we are, how quickly we get excited, or how calm we are as a person, individually, the norms we stand for, the motivation we have when we come to European Works Council. Some will come because they were elected or appointed, and well, we'll see. Others might come and expect to really get activated and do something about it. So a lot of hidden elements, not so obvious, which you only will find out after a while, after having worked together for a longer period. But there are some other things that you didn't know about. Many, many different levels of heterogeneity that you find in each and every single European Works Council. The more countries are involved, the more differences you will have in that same group. The more difficult it will be to overcome all that. And still, that is what you have to do. What you have to keep in mind, I think, and I'll wrap it up with this, is that it's, again, it's not a competition. It's not about I'm the best and all the rest have to look at me and copy my behavior, copy my thinking, should organize themselves in the same way as I do. That's what Europe is about, the diversity of cultures, the diversity of backgrounds, the diversity of organization systems, etc. It's not the Eurovision Song Contest of social relations. It's about bringing all those differences together and finding out the different strengths. We all have strengths, and we all have weaknesses in our own systems and our own background. If we can look at what are the strengths, what binds us, then we can move forward. You will be very confused at times and wonder what's going on, but just open your mind. Realize that there are all these differences and that not everybody thinks the way that you do. Not everybody is organized the way that you are. Open your mind, talk to each other, and maybe then you will be able to overcome all of those different elements. Thank you.